heavy gold wire. I was amazed at the overall tackiness. Why on earth would someone pick a room like this to gather a large group of people into? It had to be the ugliest room I had ever seen. A bingo hall would have been more appropriate. But every time I thought about slipping out of the room and away from all these people, Mom would catch my eye and give me a look. That, "Sorry, honey, but it won't be much longer, I promise," look. Which meant that it would indeed be much longer. Especially since Mom and Dad seemed more than happy to spend a full 20 minutes talking to every person who entered the room. So I stared at the ugly wallpaper, and that nasty carpet, and those gaudy pictures. I had to get out. I gave Mom the signal, or at least what I hope passed for some sort of signal, that I was escaping for a walk. She didn't respond, but since she was halfway across the room, it wasn't like she could do anything to stop me. The nearest doorway took me to a hallway that ended in a large foyer at the front of the funeral home. The foyer was old and dusty and decorated with hideous fake flowers and fake wood paneling that covered the bottom half of each wall. Someone had apparently thought that it would be a good idea to continue the flower theme out here, and had pasted a green ivy border, which was just as awful as the lily of the valley wallpaper, directly above the paneling. It was not a good look. Then I saw a bench. The coat rack next to it was full, but the bench was empty. And all mine. Suddenly, I didn't mind that ugly wood paneling, or the even uglier ivy border. It looked quiet over there on that bench, and I sat down to contemplate how nice it was that someone had been thoughtful enough to put it here just for me. But my thoughts were interrupted when 3 people came out of the viewing room and started walking toward me. Since the bench and the coat rack were positioned right next to the outside doors, I desperately hoped that they were leaving. I wasn't in the mood to force a smile and make small talk with people I didn't want to be around. They were all dressed in black, their viewing finest, I'm sure. Miss Horvath, a substitute teacher, was on the right, and I noticed Mrs. Kelly, the town historian, on the left. I didn't recognize the woman in the middle. Sleepy Hollow might be a small town, but that doesn't mean I know everyone who lives here. Their loud whispers disturbed the air, and I tried very hard not to listen to what they were saying, but I quickly gave up when something interesting caught my attention. I edged closer down the bench to listen in. Trying to throw eggs at cars from the bathroom windows. 11 and 9 they were. 11 and 9. Miss Horvath's gravelly voice broke through as she spoke louder and louder. "Mm-hmm," someone murmured. Thank goodness I was there to stop them. After 10 minutes, I just opened up the door and hollered in that they had used up the bathroom time limit and that they needed to make their way out of there. Good thing I did, too, she huffed, her voice getting more excited. Wouldn't you know it, they came scrambling out with the eggs sticking out of their pockets. I was flabbergasted, I tell you. Mrs. Kelly spoke up now. The parents just don't care anymore. That's the real shame of it. Kids these days need to learn some manners. Children of all ages have no respect for their parents and no respect for their elders. None at all. That's what happened with that Kristen girl, I bet. I listened closer as the woman I didn't recognize joined in. She had no respect for her family. I heard she was doing all sorts of drugs, just like her brother. The outraged gasps of the 2 other women merged with my quiet snort of disbelief. Kristen would never do drugs. This woman obviously had her facts very wrong. It probably was drug-related, Miss Horvath agreed. These kids today are all doing the drugs. Everything's about the drugs. Mrs. Kelly voiced her strong agreement about the drugs. And what does it all boil down to? The 3rd woman paused, and then took over the conversation again. No respect, just like I said. They have no respect for anything. Her poor parents. Miss Horvath and Mrs. Kelly quickly agreed, each stating several more reasons for the obvious downfall of society's